Hi, everybody. It's really great to see you all. I'm Carol Ann, but I know everybody here. Hi, Yan Mei. Hi, Linda. Hi, Heidi. Hi,
Hi.
Chairwoman. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Kieran. Who else is not showing their video? But I know they're here. I think we've got everybody.
Mhm.
All right. Hey, Susan. It's really good to see you all. I know Scott's going to be here. We'll actually have a full complement of our executive board. Yeah, in a little while, as soon as Scott comes. Um, the so th we should I should share my I should share my screen just to kind of orient us to where we are today, time and place. Helpful. Hel oh, if I do that, then I can't. Oh, it stinks when you only have one screen. This works way better when there are more screens, but not where I am right now. Okay, here we are. I would like to welcome you to our November 10th meeting. It's our election recap and nominations for officers meeting. This is really an exciting time. This is the first time we've done this particular meeting. We've done election recap before, but we've never had the nomination for officers meeting before because we are still in our sort of first election cycle. I mean, we kind of did, but we sort of didn't. At the last time when we did this, it was like, how do we do it? So now we're actually doing it for real. So it's kind of exciting. Why don't we all stand and recite the pledge? I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the
to the
flag
flag of the United
of the
States of
United States
America
of America
and to
and
the
to
republic
the republic
for
for
which it
which
stands,
it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
with
and justice for
justice.
all. Okay. All right. So, the next part of our meeting is updates from officers and county elected officials. I'm going to stop sharing and just see. I would like to actually have Chairwoman Mirnoff give us her update.
Wow. Okay. So I know we have specific things to talk about here in Robbinsville, but I'll give the global. And then when Kieran speaks, I can engage further at that time. So the global is that in Mercer County, at the end of the day, or the end of the days is really the correct phraseology. All offices that ran as partisan Democrats were successful in Mercer County. So we won every single office. And, we had a lot of terrific support and help from lots of volunteers. We had great campaign coordinators. Several of the major unions were very dependable and helpful in terms of sending out canvassers, and so we had lots of partners across the county, and we were fortunate. I will say I had input, so the fortune was choosing Garrett and Sam Weiss as our coordinated campaign folks. And I will tell you, I think I may have said this, I've been involved in campaigns before, not necessarily always as chair, but this is the first time that I'm aware of that they didn't just send people in and said, this is your folks, and kind of top down. They did ask me to submit names, which I did, and they picked number one and number two. And they're both, really outstanding individuals, Garrett and Sam. So I think they were very helpful in all of our towns in coordinating the campaign. In terms of the results, as I indicated, we were successful. All of our county officials won by big numbers. In all of our municipalities, we were able to re-elect and elect Democrats who ran as partisan Democrats on the ballot, and that includes Hopewell Township as well as Hamilton Township. Those were both races that had some uncertainty to them. And in all of the rest of the towns. In the legislature, we're part of 3 legislative districts. So in the 14th, which is where we are, of course, Senator Greenstein and Assemblyman Benson and D'Angelo all were successful in winning re-election. In the 15th, they had the easiest lift, but Shirley Turner, Berlina Reynolds Jackson, and Anthony Borelli were all successful. And then in the 16th, we're proud in Mercer County because in the 16th, we now have new state senator Andrew Zwicker, who will be going to Trenton. And that is a big, and re-elected Assemblyman Roy Fryman, and then elected a new Assemblywoman, Sadaf Jaffer. And what's unique is that statewide, the Democrats had a number of losses, both legislatively and in local offices. So this is actually the only district where the Democrats had a pickup statewide. So, congratulations to us. And in terms of Mercer County, and I told everybody this when they were putting a ticket together, we need to get a lot more respect because they wouldn't win the 16th, but for Mercer County and Princeton. And it's a fact. You just have to look at the numbers. They lost big in Hunterdon County. They lost in Somerset, although the number narrowed over the course of the evening. In Middlesex, they won by 2,500 to 3,000 votes. But in Mercer, they won by 4,500 to 5,000 votes. And it was the margin that took them over. I talked to Senator Zwicker Wednesday morning. He was still down 1,800 votes. And at that point, I already had net 1940 to start with. And so I think we did really, really good. But a couple, and of course, the governor and lieutenant governor were reelected. And around the state, there were a lot of mixed results, of course. So I won't go there unless we have a discussion. But I think what the numbers in the election also underscored, one of the things that we were asking people and we were sending out the lists every few days was the vote by mail. So they really were our private treasure. And that is really what happened. If you looked election night, it was kind of a sweaty election night. The numbers, were very concerning. Once the vote by mail started being counted, that's really what changed up the numbers dramatically and put people over. So, those lists and the request to chase vote by mail ballots to make the calls, to do the text, that was really critical in all of the races that we were successful in Mercer County, but also in the state. So something to keep in mind. The early voting, we did have early vote, but I think it's probably fair to say the numbers were very modest. We'll I think probably have to examine further what role they played and how to get people to more robustly vote early. There seemed to be a lot of hesitancy among people that did know, and a lot of people just didn't know that was an option. So, and some questions there in terms of polling and the machines, and we can certainly drill down on any of that at any point. We're going to do a postmortem once the voting is actually completed, so that we better understand, what occurred with the new machines, what occurred at the polls, and a number of other issues. So that will take place. So the votes are not all counted. The provisional ballots have not been counted yet. All of the vote by mail, to my understanding, have been counted and posted, but there is somewhere just short of 4,000 provisional ballots, both from Election Day and early vote. So those are still out to be counted. And, again, everybody that did pitch in Robbinsville and across the county, really grateful for all the volunteer time. It really made a difference. and then all of the efforts on terms of early vote and vote by mail. And at the end of the day, or end of the days, we had a good result. The one other thing I'd add in, kind of a tickle. So election night was dicey on a lot of races, including the governor's race. I will tell you that I was on with some mayors and candidates, 12:30. And then I decided that I was at enough, and 1:30, I hit the sack, put the timer on to watch a little news. And when I get up, I was up pretty early. I saw that my phone showed a call at 2:30 a.m. from the governor's campaign. So I was glad I was sleeping. I didn't hear it. But the bottom line, I was going to say, the tickle is that if you were watching the news on MSNBC and CNN, Mercer County was getting mentioned very regularly on the votes in New Jersey. And in fact, when you saw the numbers shoot up around noontime on Wednesday, those were our numbers. That's what started the turnaround from they were within 1,500 votes, and then it shot up to 20,000. You may remember those were Mercer votes. And then, we had additional votes that came in, and then there were other votes too. But that was kind of one of my members even texted me. MSNBC just gave a shout out to Mercer County. So that was pretty cool. We were actually in the mix on national television. So that's it. I mean, I guess my one last comment is, I think statewide and nationally that, Democrats have a lot of thinking to do and processing to do. But, at least in Mercer County election night, we were very successful. Obviously, our two nonpartisan towns were less so. More to talk about there, but, overall, we had a really successful election night.
That's really awesome.
Can I have a question?
Yeah.
So, Chairwoman Mironoff, there were some significant problems with the new voting machines. Do you know how that's being addressed for the future? Because that just, that just kind of opens the door for conspiracy theory down the road. So do you know how that's being addressed?
So I might ask you to start, and I did mention in general, that I thought we needed to do a postmortem on the equipment, the machines, the issues, the poll workers, and so forth. But I might just ask you, when you said there were problems, I'm going to agree, but what ones did you all see? What did you see that you would share?
So there were some significant, in fact, I had phone calls from county representatives the night of the election in my voting district. After I voted, apparently the scanning machines got jammed. And so one of the poll workers opened up the bag that the scans go into, and that was not necessarily copacetic. And so they weren't even sure at the time that all the votes previously could be counted, because somebody, there could have been, somebody in there interfering. And then there was another polling district where one of the poll workers said that the scan wasn't working because they weren't voting for everyone. In our race, you could vote for up to two people in the council election. And they said that, oh, you only voted for one, you have to vote for two. So the poll worker was telling people how to vote. Plus, there was some with the write-ins on the scan thing, because we didn't have the computer thing. We had to do it using Sharpie. So the write-in space is this big, and a Sharpie certainly can't handle a write-in. Not that that would be significant, but also with the Sharpie, there was bleed through, and there was a question there as to whether that would impact it at all. So those were our concerns.
Okay.
There was another.
No, thank you.
There was another concern.
Sure, please.
Sorry, about the lack of privacy in voting, that there were people standing, the poll workers were standing around and were too close to people, and people weren't able to vote privately.
Yeah. So I'm going to be circling back and probably be helpful for you to put that together. So I think there's two things. So I will tell you, as chair, I intend to assemble a group, and it'll include the two people that I had working as attorneys, Maeve Cannon and Wes Bridges, as well as some people from around the county, leadership, type folks in the party, to kind of sit down and identify what all of the issues were, and problems that were encountered, and to whether we put forward some changes that need to occur or questions that need to be answered. So I intend to do that as chair, regardless of what the county or the elections officials do. I'm going to wait till the counting's done. Do it more. I'm going to do it more in December, but I'm going to ask people to start putting those comments together throughout the county. So that's one. But I also think I'm going to hope that both the county administration and the elections officials are also going to take stock. I mean, they are the ones who decided on the machines and purchased them and determined how many pieces of equipment to purchase. I'm not throwing stones. I just think they need to look at it, because we saw a lot of the same things. The privacy concern came up in several areas of the county. It was a widespread comment about the fact that people didn't have their own space to mark the ballot. There was also, issues about machines jamming, the machines jamming, the counters jamming. My clerk gave me some insight on that as well. I mean, not in a good way, just explaining what she understood, which I guess that's why they opened them, is that the ballots, when they don't fall flat, apparently there's an issue there and they end up jamming and it doesn't, the machines don't work. And so, I've heard some of these, and I am going to ask, they have to finish the counting first though, and, have 2 days of rest. But, I think clearly the county, the board of, all the elections officials and all the offices, as well as the county administration, I think have a responsibility to do really a hard review of what occurred. Some of it was board worker training, I think, or new board workers, who were not giving, in one town, they were asking for certain ID, I know, that got stopped. They weren't doing it maliciously. They just, and then I think in some places that I know there was a district of ours in East Windsor that they weren't giving proper advice when people couldn't vote, when the machines weren't ready. Obviously, there's provisional ballots and so forth. So I think that clearly is an area, understanding the machines were new, and everything was late. The whole early voting was late. The machines came in late. And I'm going to point out something else. Mercer County, they changed the location of the Board of Elections. And so, days before they had to rev up, they had to move to a whole new building, in Spruce Street in Lawrence. So not sure that was like the ideal thing to do. So I think there was a confluence of a lot of stuff, but I don't think there's any doubt that the election was more confused than a normal election, and there were more concerns raised and needs to be addressed. There was one district in Trenton where the poll workers didn't have them sign into the electronic book. Yes, I can see Carol right now. And they did sign the pieces of paper and they did vote. Now, I've been made to understand that they can check that through, because it's electronic, you can see if that they didn't vote anywhere else and so forth, because that would be the concern. You sign the book so that there's nowhere else, you can't vote again, there were a number of hiccups. Nothing, the numbers in the county were quite large. So, it wasn't that anything would have affected the outcome, but just a lot more confusion and hiccups than normal. And some of them are attributable to the new machines and the new counters, but some of them are not, so we need to take a full postmortem about what happened and do it pretty quickly, when it's over. So
I know that the election results will be certified on November 20th. At that point, hopefully we'll also be able to see who we're particularly interested around here to see who the write-in candidates were for some of the offices, so that we can perhaps tap those people to see about running for office for real. But I hope that in whatever task force or group that you create, Chairwoman, that you do include some of at least one person from our municipal committee here, because we do have to be able to respond to our voters, our constituents here.
Sure.
But thank you very much for your consideration of having Robbinsville be on that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And any other thoughts? I am telling you what, I haven't spread that widely. I did, I had a couple calls with the two attorneys that volunteered for me, and they stayed on, through some of the counting, and I have indicated that to them. We discussed what should be the next step. So I haven't made announcements or anything. I mean, it's not a secret. So if you have any, aside from having somebody, if you have, other things we should look at, or any other ideas about going about it, I welcome that. What I'm really saying is it's going to happen, but it's not locked in stone.
Sure.
About, just how it goes about. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. I just want to take a quick look at our group to make sure that that there are no other county electeds here that we want to give time to talk. Nope. Okay, good. Going back to speaker mode. So I'm going to give my report. This is my next to last meeting as president. We're going to learn more about who's going to be, who the nominating committee has secured to run for the elected offices. We have 4 officers that are elected. It's president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. We have a 5th office, which is the municipal committee chair or their designate. They are already elected, so we don't actually go through the process of making them elected again for the club. Members of the club who have been active by attending 2 meetings, Scott will give this a little bit later, but there are 2 meetings or some sort of other contribution to the club are eligible to vote next month, and other things that we've done. We successfully mounted a postcard campaign for Kieran to assist in his work, and we're looking forward to all the awesome things that are going to happen in the coming months and years. And that's pretty much where we are for now. Last month, our meeting was a postcard party, which is pretty fun. I'm hopeful in the next, maybe come spring, we'll be able to meet in person, start meeting in person again. We'll have to see. I'm still cautious about maybe this winter-ish, but I'm glad we're all healthy and well. I'm going to ask if Scott would just delay his report for a second, and we can go to Secretary. Melissa, I know you're here. There you are, Melissa.
Hello.
There you go.
I don't have much of a report because up until last week, I was working really. My dogs have an update. Hold on. We shut this door. Oh my God, their timing is amazing. I don't really have a club update because up until last week, I was like 1,000% of my energy was in Kieran's campaign. So I don't really have an update club-wise, but I will be running for secretary again this year. So I guess we'll talk about that in a little while when Scott gives his update too. But yeah.
Okay, thank you. Susan, treasurer update?
Sure. I am now well trained by Marina. We have to give our thanks to her for spending time with me. Anna, can you stop that, please? Sorry. Just like the dogs, my husband's alarm is going off. So she went through everything. We had a Zoom meeting and she went through everything, told me everything I need to do and did the ins and outs of all the reporting. So I'm very grateful to her for taking time out to help me. So just a really brief update. I filed the third quarter New Jersey election report of contributions and expenditures in October. So the deadline was October 15th. So we got it in before the deadline. Thanks again to Marina for meeting with me before that. The next one is due in January. So I'm good to go for that. I'm running for treasurer. So if it's me that's doing it, then I know how to do it. Year to date, we've received $1,115 in contributions. Average donation is $50. We've had 22 donations this year so far. And our current bank account balance is just $1 under $600. So that's where we stand as of today.
Thank you, Susan. Susan, in the chat, do you want to drop the donation, the donation link to our Act Blue?
Sure. Yep.
Because I know people will be, oh, right, I should probably do that because everybody's thinking that, right? And this way we can make sure that we are solvent for our first half of the year expenses for 2022. Now I would like Sonia, you want to update us on committee stuff, and I also know you worked really closely with Kieran.
Yeah, so pretty much the past several months have been focused directly on Kieran's campaign, and I would just like to congratulate him on running one of the best campaigns I've ever seen. He was positive. He raised money like nobody I've known before. He knew how to manipulate the media. He just really dove into this full throttle and ran just one of the best campaigns I've ever seen. Certainly the best local campaign I've ever seen. So congratulations to Kieran. Even though our foolish townspeople didn't elect him, he did a great job. I will tell you too, today I was contacted by Ron Witt, who is the presumptive mayoral appointee once Dave decides he's not going to do it anymore. He did go over Kieran. He went over to Millie's house and spoke with her, and they're going to go fix her issue on Friday. So thank you to you for having that pointed out. But he did tell me he would really like, and I believe that this is true of him. I feel that he's a little misguided, but I do believe that his heart is in the right place, that he wants to reach out to the Democratic Club to try to build bridges and try to figure out a way that we all work together, which we have always been willing to do. I feel that we've hit resistance in the other side, but why not? So he would like some ideas as to how he can be the spokesperson for that crossover.
Is he trying to prevent somebody running against him? Is that his proactive?
that may be it. That may well be it, but I do think that of
That was
anybody,
my first thought.
yeah, no, I mean, for
Keep your
sure. And you know what?
Friends
And
close, keep your enemies closer.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't preclude anyone from doing anything, but the bottom line is that I have not spoken to anyone else on council who actually has listened to me, paid attention to me, and taken steps to do what I've asked. So if I have an issue and I tell Ron, he will follow through with it. So I think that he really does. I think he really does want to reach out to us, because I think he is kind of disgusted by some things in the Republican Party, and that he does want to reach out to the. I mean, Melissa, you were there when he said he might become a Democrat, right? But I think that the outreach is for real. I don't think we should discount it, because anytime that we can bring somebody into the fold and discuss issues, I think is always a good idea. So that's out there, just putting it out there.
That's true, Sonia, but like, where is he now? Do we have to wait until he's the mayor to?
No, I mean, he's willing to come to a Democratic Club meeting. I didn't invite him tonight because I didn't want to do that. But willing to come, he's willing to talk, and if we have ideas, no, I think he's willing to listen. I'm not saying that he's the guy, and I'm not saying that people shouldn't run against him for mayor. I am not saying that at all. I'm just saying that he's the only one that I know of who has reached out and said he wants to work together. None of the others have. So I think we have to take that and work with that. For me personally, I think that we should at least embrace that. Whether it works out or not, that's a different story, but I think we should embrace that outreach. And also, I just wanted to mention that Brian Hayes, unfortunately, has resigned officially. I have to put in the paperwork, but from the Democratic Committee, because temporarily he's moved out of town, so he can't be on the committee. So I will be looking for somebody to replace him in the 5th district.
Sonia, to that end, I had a conversation with Chris Emickholz from the school board that was almost identical to everything you just said about Ron Witt yesterday. So I don't know if that was like a coordinated effort, but he called me and had literally an hour conversation about bipartisanship and working together and the whole, right, real or not, but the whole rigmarole, almost identical to everything that you just said. Like replace Ron with Chris. So I don't know. Take that as you will with that information, but
Chris I don't trust, I don't believe, and he's never done anything to actually follow up on anything that I understand anybody has asked of him. Ron has. I can say that personally, that I know that he has. So
yeah, I'm just pointing out that it's interesting that this was like
it is.
maybe 3 p.m. yesterday. So it's an interesting. I wonder if there's a coordinated campaign.
For sure. Yeah. The Republicans, they open up page 1. Here's what it says. Page 2. Here's what it says. They all do the same thing. We know there's a playbook. We know it's what they do. For sure. I mean, I'm not saying be stupid and just dive in and just like, oh yeah. But I think that if we can open up a door, why can't we should control the conversation? If he's willing to come over to our side, I say grab him, bring him into the fold, and make him work for us.
So
if not, then not.
Our meetings are not private. Our meetings are public, and we advertise our meetings publicly. The meeting event and the link goes up on Facebook on our page. And they're always the second Wednesday of the month. If they want a special invitation, I will add them to the list. But that it has, that's fine. And to have a report from town council at our Democratic Club meeting, I will happily give them time. Well, for 1 more month, I will happily give them time. And then the president hopefully will keep that as a practice. It's a good practice to have. And if we had a representative from the school board come, even if they didn't want to come as the representative from the school board, I don't care. It's fine. Our meetings are open. It will allow us to have, more hopefully useful conversations and connections.
So Can I ask a question to Sonia? So if, I don't know how to say this, but I'll just say it. So if Ron is open to this nonpartisan relationship building, it's all good. Now let us assume that Fried resigns and Ron gets his job and there's a council seat vacant. Will he be open to get a Democrat on the council seat in the show of nonpartisan support?
To be honest with you, I think he would. Whether or not the rest of them are going to go along with it, and I think the conversation is always going to come back to the whole nonpartisan thing. So
I'm just asking.
Kieran, I'm not saying that anybody should trust Ron. I am not saying that anybody should just take his word. I'm just saying that if somebody offers a hand, I'm not going to slap it away. So maybe
understood. I mean, you know me.
Right. So maybe again, maybe. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But maybe we can bring him to our side and maybe we can have him, promote our ideas. Maybe not. But you know what? Give it a shot. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Understood.
Sonia, I think, maybe smarter political brains than mine can have an opinion about this, but, maybe there's a way we can use this to our advantage. Cultivating some sort of relationship. Who knows where it could go or how it could lead, but maybe we can be smart about this. And again, I don't know which way, what that would look like, but certainly cultivating a conversation and having him be part of our meetings can't hurt. In my opinion, I think it's worth a try. Who knows where it could lead.
Agreed. And also I met Ron a couple of times. He's the most reasonable and a fair person. And also I saw there was a, as you guys know, there was a Diwali parade and there was this local TV station which covered the candidates, right? The elected representatives. And everybody was talking about their election and they was raving about how he's going to be uncontested, he's going to win, blah, blah, blah. But Ron was the only one who spoke about what's going on social media that should tone down. He was the only one who openly condemned in that video interview that whatever was going on in social media is bad, that should stop. And he also said that our kids would be watching us on social media. This is not what the kids should also learn. So I really give that to him, right? Because he's the only one who always comes out and talks about some of the bad things which happen in social media, right? So that way is very fair. I respect him a lot for that.
Well, February is the first anniversary of our Toward an Anti-Racist Robbinsville event, and he was there. So perhaps 1 year on, we could have a little bit of a, hey, this would have been a really cool thing if these things happened. Ron. Kieran, oh, yes.
Can I just get,
sure, of course, Chairwoman.
And I'll be brief, but yeah, so this is interesting discussion. I thought we would be coming in and talking a little bit about the local race. So I was holding back. I figured I'd get the global, state, and county and legislative passed. But let me just say before we continue with this that I do want to congratulate Kieran and all of the Robbinsville Democrats. Well, we're going bipartisan here or nonpartisan on all the great efforts. And, I know you all worked really, really hard and Kieran worked really, really hard. And, it doesn't always turn out quite the way you're looking, but, everyone put in great efforts. I'm sure it was a tremendous learning experience and it's always foundation building. So it's an opportunity to build on, to move forward. To continue to grow your organization, to continue to recruit additional people who may want to hold positions or run for office. I liked your checking the write-ins. That was kind of clever. on the machine. I like that, a little bit creative idea. So I did want to just, as you continue this discussion, I did want to just come in and congratulate you all. And, you know, you did a great job, and, you know, we recognize that. So thank you.
Thank you actually for saying that, because there was during this particular election season, there was a concerted effort to discredit the club and to discredit several of us personally. And
Right.
it was horrifying. It was horrifying to watch. We have to live next side by side, cheek by jowl with these people. And to see that and to experience it was horrifying. And I don't blame anybody for not wanting to be more out in front and to do these things, especially in a nonpartisan election when we feel so alone, even though the county is there to back us up. There's not really any overt way for you to do that. And it's hard. It's isolating. So knowing that you've said this to us and have had back channel conversations with a bunch of us to support us through the more difficult moments of it, I really do appreciate it. And I wanted to say that. But Kieran, your postmortem, sir, I would love to hear what you think.
Oh, well, again, the campaign is as good as its team, right? So I would like to thank every one of them, right? I mean, starting from Sonia to Melissa to you and Scott, and then also a lot of others like Andrew. So this was like, it was not just me. I mean, there was a lot of people in the background, and also thanks to Garrett and thanks to, Janice for letting the Mercer County Democrats, help me sign up volunteers. So again, like I said, right, this was just not me alone. It was a very good team we had backing up this campaign, even though the results was not what we expected. But I think that personally, like I said in my Facebook message, personally, it's a win for me because I learned a lot. And I also made a lot of good friends. I also developed a lot of contacts with other endorsing issue-based organizations, right? Like whether it's the Sierra Club, whether it's Our Revolution, whether it's the Moms on Demand, and a lot of those volunteers also signed up for the postcard campaign, right? So at the end of the day, it was a well-managed. It was a well-run and I wouldn't say managed, but it was a well-run team. So now I think I know what it takes to win. And 20% of votes is not a small thing. I think the final count was 1,566, which was 20% of the votes polled. I think that's a good outcome for a first comer who lives in a distant part of the town where we are not even, like, our community doesn't know the 90% of Robbinsville out there. And then also, I got into the race in the last minute. It was like for 4 months of preparation. This is a very, I don't know what to say. It's an excellent outcome. So this is not a one-time thing for me. I'm going to keep pursuing it. Even if some reason, if I can do it, probably I'm hopeful that a lot of people who are sitting on the fence are now motivated to step up and run. I will help them in whatever capacity I can, whatever I have learned. I even went as far as, because NGP app was kind of very confusing because it covered the county and county canvassing. So we went and built an app just for the township. We had our own dashboards. I could say how many streets, how many households. So we have learned a lot of things. We've built a lot of tools to run a customized campaign. So I think there's one school board election next year. Probably we need to find a candidate and help he or she out. And then there's 2023. Hopefully I'll still be sticking around. So I'm going to try again in 2023.
Thank you, Kieran. Okay, So we are now going to move to the part of the meeting where I turn it over to Scott, and he talks about the candidates for officer elections.
Thank you very much. Yes, and good evening, everybody. And just wanted to echo before I move on to that, really very positive experience, working with Kieran, doing what I could to help out with this campaign, and really proud of what we've been able to do. And also just to Sonia's point, with Ron, I think, something to think about is, we think about what our the ultimate goal here as a club, is part of that is to influence policy. And, just even if we don't get, we're not able to, make a deal and get somebody, on council or do these more complicated, larger tasks, if we could just have discussions on policy, I think that's just a great start. And, we should probably, put him on our mailing list and invite him to the meetings and let him know that we will give him a chance to speak. So anyway, those are just my thoughts. Now I want to move on to the official nominating process. So I am, I guess, in charge of the nominating committee here for the Robbinsville Democratic Club. And as most of you probably know, our 4 executive board positions are elected every 2 years. And so our next election is coming up next meeting in December. And so my job being on the nominating committee is to basically, find people to run for these positions. And I'm very excited to announce tonight that we have a group of highly qualified and passionate candidates for each position on the executive board. So I'm going to announce them right now. So we have Melissa Kibdell-Riley for secretary, Susan Sibilia for treasurer, Amanda Gruber for vice president, and Kiran Agrahara and Sarah Siebel for president. And so just to let everybody know, I'm not seeking real vice president position. It's been, truly an honor and wonderful serving the club and serving you all. But I'm going to be moving on. But yeah, with that said, these are all highly qualified candidates, very excited, passionate, energetic, and I think we all, share the same goals. So I'm just going to lay out sort of the process for the voting. So we're going to have each candidate write basically a paragraph, describing, why they want to run and what their plans are and their vision, and basically a personal statement. And we're going to distribute that statement to the members of the club over the course of the next month. And we're also going to invite each candidate to speak at the next December meeting prior to voting. And then we are going to devise a secure and anonymous and inclusive voting process where all members will be able to vote, even if they're not able to be present at the meeting. And that's going to happen after the statements from the nominees. And also, I should say, we want to going to be in the process of identifying the eligible voters in the club. So you have to be an active member, as Caroline said, and that requires either showing up to 2 meetings, which if you haven't done, donation is another way to get in. And become qualified. So my hope is to notify the qualified voters by email so they know who they are, and ahead of time, so we're all on the same page. And finally, I just wanted to just reiterate again this, so I know each person on each of the nominees personally, and we all do share the same goals and the same values. And we may have nominees may have different strategies and ideas of how to accomplish those goals, but I think we'll, obviously, as we always do, keep it respectful and positive. So with that said, does anybody have any questions about the process? And Caroline, did I miss anything?
I don't think you missed anything. I was wondering if we wanted to have each of the candidates introduce themselves.
So I, on that note, I just wanted to say that so I actually told people that they didn't have to say anything today.
Okay, that's
And
fine.
and not everybody's actually, not each of the candidates is able to be here and speak. So I might want to say
They're actually all here. They're actually all here
okay,
right
but I
now.
don't. Okay.
But
I'm
that's
not sure
totally,
yeah.
That's fine.
I don't want to surprise anybody, and
Sure.
you know, for that reason. So yeah, I think we'll do the introductions over email, and then we'll have a chance at the next meeting to have a full statement. This way, we just give everybody an even playing field. So yes, go ahead, Sonia, if you have a question.
Not so much a question as a statement. Just before anything happens, I just want to thank Carol Ann for all of her work, for all of her efforts. If it weren't for her, we would not have a Democratic Club. She has been amazing, and her efforts have been so much appreciated, despite whatever the jackasses on school board may have to say. Ignore all those people. You have been a guiding force for us. And as I said, if it weren't for you, we would not have a Democratic Club. So thank you for all of your efforts. I applaud you.
Second that, you know, it's been absolutely wonderful working with you, Carol Ann, and you've done so much. I mean, yeah, this club would not exist at all. That's 100% on you for initiating this entire process. Very difficult process, and it's going well. We have a lot of really excited people, a lot of great members, and so we do appreciate it.
the fact that there are actually two people running for this seat makes me really, really excited, because it's either that I made it look really easy or that I was so terrible that you're gonna fight over taking it back. we couldn't have had this effort without you, Scott, getting us all together through the group of progressives that you created when you put a beacon out there and said, hey, I think this way, if you want to think like this too, or you think like this too, kind of let's all have conversations. And then really this was born at Taco Rita. So over a lunch where indigestion reigned, we definitely, we looked at each other and said, we should do this. Knowing and not knowing at the same time what a show it would be. It has been my honor and privilege to kind of set up this wonderful club with all the infrastructure ready to go, and a really, really deep amount of information we were able to gather and share with our community in this 2.5, almost 3-year process that that this club's been in existence. I am absolutely exhausted. So I am really looking forward to refocusing my efforts on some things that have to do with my nephews and my family. And I really like tasks that I can do and then forget about until I'm ready to come back in again. So I know that wherever this club is going to go, you guys are going to do great. And I'm not going anywhere. You just need to have somebody different do this job. So thank you. This is the part of the meeting where now we are going to, yay for that, move ahead. Okay, we have to talk about our contribution to our world, our immediate world. Last year during COVID, we really rallied around a couple of different charities in our area, and for the holidays specifically. And I need a tissue. And I'd like to know what you would like to do for supporting our community. Last year, we sponsored 2 different families with 2 children for home front gifts. We created a sign-up genius. We basically bought out everything that they needed. We really kitted out these kids. And we've done multiple food drives. Robbinsville's food bank is generally pretty well stocked usually, so I was thinking that we would, we had done a food drive or had attempted to do a food drive for Rise, which is in East Windsor. We can do one or the other or both. Suggestions? Basically, I would like us to have our name be associated with something lovely and wonderful and fun and additive to our community. And I was wondering what y'all thought. How can we make our world better?